Hare Krishna. Welcome to Wisdomful Wednesday. Nepal is burning. Gen Zs on fire. 22 people have been killed. Tear gas to choking skies and toppling the leadership. Gen Zs on rampage. After Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Myanmar, the trend continues to be in Nepal. What is the real fundamental cause? Is the deep state involved, or it's a response of the youngsters against the corruption of the politicians, or is it much more deeper than what we see? What's the spiritual understanding behind this crisis? Let us dive deep into this topic. In the next few minutes, we'll explore based on the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Before that, Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakturanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what was the trigger? The youth uprising in Nepal is an immediate aftermath of the government of Nepal banning close to 25 social media platforms, including WhatsApp. Just imagine current scenarios without social media, how would they run? The ban infuriated many young, digitally native Nepalis, especially the younger generations whom we call as Gen Zs. And they took the streets to go against the decision of the government. Now, before this, what was happening in social media in Nepal was, there's a trend which went quite viral across Nepal, was Nepo babies, political Nepos, where they post contrasting videos of the luxurious lifestyle lived by the politicians and their children's comparison to the normal native of Nepalis. The stark difference in the lifestyle led by these two classes of people by and large enraged the political class, and they see it, the Gen Z see it as, to stop this descent, they have stopped the usage of social media by banning it. But the government say it is because of the non-compliances of the social media changed based on the rules and regulations meant by the country, which has made the government to take this harsh decision. Of course, the TikTok was able to comply with the norms of the state, hence there was no ban on TikTok. So, but the Gen Zs were telling, stop the ban on social media, stop corruption, not social media, the protesters proclaimed. Now, the first thing which I remember, because corruption is something which is deep-rooted. 2007, the monarchy failed. The last country, one of the smallest country to have monarchy was Nepal. 2007 or 8, it failed. And the alternative was they wanted to have a democracy, but the communist rule took over, and more than 15 governments have changed in last 18 years. After that, they are not able to satisfy the people in general. Corruption is on high. Now, why does corruption happen? No matter whatever the law you introduce, whether in India, Nepal, or across the globe, Swami Prabhupada in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in the first canto, he says in context with the leader of the society, Parishit Maharaj, he mentions, as long as the state encourages intoxication, illicit sex, gambling, and meat eating. No amount of laws or regulations or control can stop corruption. It is as simple as this. Whether the government encourages or the people indulge in it, you cannot stop corruption if the society by and large indulge in these four sinful activities. You may have protests, you may have campaigns, you may have hashtags going on, but by and large, as long as the society indulge in these four basic sinful activities, there cannot be any solution for the corruption what's happening. And things escalated in such a way that Gen Zs were enraged and they took violence. They put the parliament on fire, other important buildings on fire. The politicians were caught, beaten up, and even one of the ex-prime minister was beaten up. His wife house was set on fire and she claims to be dead and no more. And even they try to attack the temple of Kashi Vishwanath. Things are going out of control. To another angle says there's a deep state involved where the United States of America wants to have their men in control in around subcontinent, whether it is from Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus, or anyways, that's what another angle of thing which is mentioning. But if you analyze it spiritually, Prabhupada often explains that without the knowledge of the soul and its eternal relation with Krishna, youth remain confused and dissatisfied, even if they're mentally educated. The defect of modern civilization is that there is no spiritual education. Without spiritual training, the youth will be frustrated and spoiled. Just mere banning of the social media, it has enraged the youth. Especially in Nepal, many youths, they feel purposeless because material development is presented as ultimate goal, leaving a spiritual vacuum. See, if you analyze Nepal in particular currently, it is by and large, its economy is run by tourism and agriculture. Now, thanks to this technology and easy access to internet, they just spend time making reels and watching unwanted content on social media, forgetting the purpose and goal of life. Forget about spiritual purpose and goal of life. They don't even are misguided from their own existential things for their own livelihood, what they have to do. Nepal is the land of Gurkhas, the land of Kshatriyas. Even in fact, Swami Prabhupada also commented their chivalry. Sam Bahadur Manik Shah, if I remember his name properly, the former field marshal of the first field marshal of our country, he says, if someone says I'm not afraid of death, he should be either a Gurkha or he should be a madman. So that's the trait of Nepalis. But today, thanks to the Western civilization influence, the intoxication and drugs abuse and unemployment specifically has misguided the current youngsters of the Nepal. Modern education, often trains young people to compete for jobs and sense gratification rather than cultivating character, humility, or compassion. Because we are what we consume. The food what we consume and the content what we consume enrages us. All the content what we consume and the food what we eat is agitating our senses. When the contemplation is on the sense object, naturally the sense objects will lead us to attachment, and attachment leads to frustration, and frustration leads to lust, and lust is never satiated. When things are not happening according to, we become enraged, we get angry. This is what Krishna speaks about, the process of getting angry and getting frustrated in the Bhagavad Gita. Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsa Sangas Te Supachayate. Sangat Te Kamas. Kamat Krodho Bichayate. Then when somebody is enraged, when somebody is in full of anger and wrath, what happens? He doesn't know what he has to do. He's in illusion. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha. Sammohat Smriti Vibrama. Memory is lost, and memory is lost, intelligence is destroyed, and again he falls into the material pool. And that's what's happening at this point of time in Nepal, or any living entity who goes through this cycle which Krishna mentions. So contemplation has to be stopped. The whole social media is actually making everyone of first contemplate on the same subject. Already we are in illusion, being in the material world, thinking ourselves the body, and the consumption of social media for something which is impermanent and on the bodily level, especially sensual ones, has deep-rooted impact on our consciousness, which is making everyone go crazy. And especially when the leaders are not sufficiently trained, and they are not regulated, and they are not ideally Krishna conscious, what will they? They will exploit the dependents, they'll exploit the citizens, and that's what's happening. The youngsters in Nepal thought that the family members of politicians are well off, and themselves and their citizens are not having any sufficient job, education, and there is a quite poverty, and things are happening, going bad to worse. So they took themselves onto the streets, and they want to protest. And when the protest happened, the police, the local police, went against very badly, and unfortunately many of them were killed and shot. And they say that because protesters turned violent, to control the mob, they have to do this, or it is a mobocracy which is taking over some antisocial elements or someone. But end of the day, that is how the material world is designed. Suffering caused by other living entities. The king, the people around you, those who are supposed to save you, protect you, themselves becomes vultures. So when you have such type of an education which is not spiritual in nature, you produce cats and dogs instead of saintly leaders or saintly citizens. So unless your heart is cleansed, you cannot have people with patience, with humility, with compassion. The lack of value-based training creates dissatisfactions. Since external success cannot satisfy the heart, you may be having apparent success of gratifying your senses, but that will lead you to only frustration. And the flaw of communism is that they think that they can solve every problem by treating everyone equally. That's called classless society. They thought before 28 or 9, when the monarchy was outthrown from the Nepal, only the king is enjoying and we are all suffering. In fact, the people currently, they say they were much more better situated in monarchy than after the so-called democracy and communistic rule in Nepal. So they thought at that point of time only this family is enjoying and we are all suffering. And the resources should be equally enjoyed. Everyone deserves the equal right, equal status, equal. That is, equality is a myth. There will be someone who will be manager. There will be someone who is the leader. They deserve better. But this artificial imposition of equality had a deep impact which is not satisfactory. And that's why there was a turmoil throughout the last 2 decades. Nepal had gone through these hardships. Whether it is a political turmoil, every 2 years there's a change of administration, or even natural calamities, the earthquakes is quite often plagued Nepal. But actually, Nepal is a very sanctified state, original state, Vedic state with a king being revered as the representative of the Supreme Lord, and king being ideal personality who would follow the tenets of Vedic literatures and rule over the citizens. So Prabhupada taught us sense enjoyment without regulation leads to frustration or not fulfillment of it. Without tapasya, there is no happiness. Sense gratification is not happiness. It's the cause of distress. Whether it is youths who are involved in this, when their sense gratification is stopped by the politicians by banning social media, or the politicians thought that their sense gratification would be checked when the mass of the people will think that okay, they are being enjoying, they have better situated, and the subjects will be involved in this activity. When they'll come to know, we'll be in difficulty, and that's what they wanted to stop the whole access to this reality, or want to stop this Nepo kid expose of their politicians, sons and family enjoying and relishing the riches and opulence of Nepal. It's at the end of the day, it's a survival of the fittest. It's I exploit you, you exploit me. Exposed by consumerism, material elements, chase for pleasures. But whether it's the politicians or the common masses of people, they end up dissatisfied when these fail to give a lasting joy. Yun hi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yona eva te. It has a beginning and an end. And in the beginning it is like nectar. Later it turns out to be painful poison. Another fundamental reason, whether it's Nepal or any part of the world where such things happen, there's no higher purpose in life. There is no higher service. True satisfaction when it comes when one engages in bhakti, offering one's energy for a higher cause. Prabhupada would often say, the youth should be trained to see themselves as servants of God and humanity, not as exploiters. Not only youth, every jiva, living entity is meant to be in this consciousness. Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadasa. Unless and until we are engaged in devotional service, engaged in the service of the Lord, we can never be satisfied. There will be always lacuna in our enjoyment. Without such a higher engagement, whether individual's energy or youthful energy, it turns into rebellion, agitation, or even more destructive movements. And after the beginning of Kali Yuga, such movements have been regular. All across the globe, this is a common phenomenon. Every government has been toppled, every king has been removed, every ideology has been changed over and over again and again because of this fundamental flaw. That I am the body, I am satisfaction of this body is a primary purpose and goal of life. And there is a fight amongst the individuals and group of people, and for the survival of the fittest and for who will dominate whom. And most importantly, there's an extreme lack of exemplary leadership and guidance. That's why Krishna wanted Pandavas, who are Vaishnavas, to lead the country. That's why the adharmic people has to be eliminated. Now, in this Kali Yuga, how can adharma can be eliminated? Everyone is adharmic because of the influence of Kali Yuga. But the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if mass of people are made to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if they are educated fundamentally, because the flaw is not at the common mass of people. Even the common mass of people can still be revived and educated. It is the leadership which has to be changed. And unfortunately, we are not able to change the leadership. Either you change the leadership, make them educated in Krishna consciousness, or mass of the people. It's our responsibility as Krishna conscious devotees, as folks who are hearing this, youngsters. This has to be shared. This has to be propagated. And when such spiritually charged leadership take up Krishna consciousness seriously, and they want to rule over that, they'll have self-control, they follow the tenets of Bhagavad Gita, then there can be real peace and happiness. Otherwise, such turmoil is going to be part of life. And in Kali Yuga, this is going to only increase. Kalir dosha nide rajana. This is a reality in Kali Yuga. It is predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam that people of 10th class will occupy the royal post, and they will rule the citizens, and the citizens will be so frustrated and pissed off. They will do anarchy. They will go through riots. They'll be so frustrated and pissed off. They will flee to the forest, and that's what happening all across. They are living they live underground like rats, and these leaders, the inimical leaders, they will exploit they will levy heavy taxes, and things will go from bad to worse day by day. And the whole generation of people will be extremely frustrated and pissed off. The only hope is Krishna consciousness. Asti ekon mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet. Mukta sangha param rajet. Iti shodashaka namna kali kalmasha nata nashanam nata paratara upaya sarva vedesha drishyate. So we require people who are saintly. We require leaders who are saintly. We require teachers who can set an example. And all this is possible if all classes of people, whether the leaders or the followers, if they stop the sinful activities, if they chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the sinful activities which has to be reduced or made nil is intoxication, illicit sex, gambling and meat eating. At least the state should consciously discourage these sinful tendencies, either by laws or by education of Krishna consciousness, or giving them a chance to practice Krishna consciousness. If the government gives us a chance to do it at a large scale, Prabhupada said this to Lieutenant Muzi. This is recorded in Science of Self-Realization. Why crime, what to do? It's interesting conversation with this police. Prabhupada says, we are doing this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra at a small location with few set of people, and you can see the transformation happening in their lives. They've given up this four sense, they are peaceful, they are law-abiding, they are happy, they are blissful. If the government supports us to have the same thing what we do on a smaller scale and a huge scale, then there's going to be a huge transformation. Crime is going to come down. Even today, the Chicago is the world capital of murders. The Trump, the leader of United States, said this was the same in 70s. The Lieutenant Muzi was in charge of the police department in Chicago. He asked these questions: what to do, how to reduce the crime. The only way to reduce the crime, to have a peaceful thing, is center should be Krishna. Doesn't matter which religion you believe. You have to chant the names of the Lord mentioned in your religion. If mass of people come together and chant the names of the Lord, that will bring harmony, that will bring peace, that will bring compassion in the hearts of the people. And that's how the things can be settled on. Otherwise, as long as this is not encouraged, Kali will going to spread its fangs, and things going to get worse day by day. So I would implore all those youngsters who are hearing this, it should not happen in our country. It's happening in the small pockets, but if we take it up seriously, the Gen Zs, the Alpha, the Millennials, if they come together and actively participate, a folk is meant for such youngsters to understand the purpose, goal of life. I implore from the core of my heart, those who are watching, especially youngsters, to take up Krishna consciousness seriously and understand this and vigorously preach this. This is the only hope for the whole mankind. And rest assured, as Prabhupada promised, and he prophesied, the history will be remembering a Hare Krishna movement was responsible for saving the mankind from going to hell. So thank you so much for patiently hearing. This was my take on Nepal's crisis, Gen Z's response. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.